Good morning, Year 6. Hope you had a lovely half term, plenty of rest, and that you are raring to go with a brand new week and a brand new set of tasks. We have got our spelling list, a new one up on the board behind me. You've got abundant, brilliant, constant, distance, dominant, elegant, fragrant, ignorant, tolerant, and vacant. And you are going to be having a little look at the rule today and seeing if you can spot which words are correctly spelt. So the rule is you add the suffix, I should say, ant to words that end in e or y. Remember, we changed the y to an I before we add the ant. If a word ends in ct or lt, like disinfect becomes disinfectant, consult becomes consultant, and also if you've got an our or an or, so odor, deodorant. So that's the rule, and there are lots and lots of exceptions to this rule. I mean, it wouldn't be the English language, would it, otherwise? All right, and we'll probably come across some of those as we're looking at our spellings this week. So this is what you're going to do today. You have got some of your spellings on the board here. You've got tolerant, fragrant, relevant, and you've got relevant. You've got, scroll it down, deodorant and consonant. Okay. Now, what you've got to do is, first of all, you've got to work out which are the correct spellings. And then what you've got to do, once you've circled the correct spelling, you've got to use the correct spelling in a sentence, and your sentence has got to contain at least one adjective or an adverb. Remember, an adjective is a describing word, and an adverb tells you how a verb was completed. So how was it done? So how did I run? I ran quickly, quickly being the adverb. So have a look at the words, decide which is the correct spelling, and then use it in a sentence. So you're going to need your purple book, you need something to write with. You need to make sure that you use the correct spelling and check it in a dictionary, and then show me some fantastic sentences. So as I say, you've got tolerant, fragrant, relevant, and relevant. You've got deodorant, and you've got consonant. So you might need to come back and have a look at the last two because I've had to scroll the board up. Okay, so pause the video, have a go. Okay, right. We started before half term looking at some letters of the alphabet, and we got to C, but I want to sort of just have a little look at some of the words that are in our text today, and they just happen to have quite a few B's in them. So before we move on and look at D and E, etc., we're going to just come back and have a little look at B so that we can make sure that we've got that spot on and we're not getting our B's either too tall or not tall enough or not joined in the right place. So as always, I'm going to demonstrate how you will write the word, and then you're going to have a little go in your purple book. You will leave a line underneath your spelling activity, and then you're going to do 2 lines of each. Okay, let's have a little look then. Abundant. So I lead into my A, nice tall B, U-N-D-A-N-T. Okay, abundant. Right, okay. Next one. Brilliant. So we're going to go B-R-I-L-L-I-N-T. Okay, brilliant. Then we've got bird, so we lead into the B. Remember the R joins at the top, and we try and get our S the same height as the other lowercase letters. Okay, right, then website. Remember we're doing that pointy W. All right, pointy W. So we lead into the W. E-B-I-S-T-E. Now, not really happy about that. I think my B's a bit too small, so I'm going to do that one again. So here we go. Lead into the W. E-B, that's better. S-I-E-T. Yeah, much happier with that. Okay. So then, last one, blind. So I'll lead into my B. L-I-N-D. And again, lead into my B. L-I-N-D. So, I'll reiterate. Underneath your spelling activity, you're going to leave a line, and then you're going to do 2 lines of abundant, 2 of brilliant, 2 of birds, 2 of website, 2 of blind, and I'm going to see some wonderful cursive handwriting. Pause the video, off you go. So, what are we going to do next? Well, we've got a reading activity. Before we start our reading activity, you're going to have a little look at some synonyms for some of the words that appear in the text that you might not have come across before, or you might have forgotten what they mean. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is read the text through. Then I want you to find these words and underline them and read them again in context, because that very often gives you a clue as to the meaning of the word. Then what you're going to do is use an online thesaurus, and you are going to find me 2 synonyms for each of the words that are on the board. So you've got unkempt, idyllic, emerge, evolve, maximize, fend, and hazardous. So underneath your handwriting, leave a line, use a thesaurus, and find me 2 synonyms for each of those words. Pause the video, off you go. Right, let's have a little look at the text then. So we've got a lovely, sorry, I was moving my board on, but a lovely little text this morning about birds, and it's from the Royal Society of the Protection of Birds, or the RSPB, and you will find it on page 6 of your comprehension book. That's the one with the owl on the front, the book 5, book 2. So page 6. So if you have that in front of you, then it's much easier than trying to have a little look at the words on the screen. So let's have a look. So the Royal Society for Protection of Birds, the RSPB, was formed in 1889, so it's been going a long time. It is the biggest conservation charity in Britain. It protects birds and other wildlife in the UK and around the world. And this extract from the RSPB's website is all about the challenges that face baby birds. We're coming into that time of year where there's going to be lots of baby birds around, and it's what we need to do and how we look after them. So baby birds, so the heading, sorry, is cute, fluffy, and hard as nails, because they might look cute and fluffy, but they've got a few tricks up their sleeves, these baby birds, so that they survive. So let's have a look at what the text says. So baby birds are undeniably cute. So undeniably means that, you can't say otherwise. Baby birds are cute. Absolutely. With their unkempt, fluffy feathers, so unkempt, you were looking for synonyms for those. So, scruffy, untidy, those kind of things, fluffy feathers, because they do, when they first hatched, the feathers are all over the place. They look really scruffy. Okay, fluffy feathers, and insistent, squeaky begging. So they're constantly hungry, and they squeak, 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 squeak. Okay. Squeaky begging calls. They look very appealing to human eyes as well as to those of their parents. So not only do the parents idolize them, but we love baby birds too. Those things might look idyllic, so perfect, okay, dreamlike, fantastic, When you see young birds in your garden being fed by attentive adults, life is far from easy for birds. So it says if an egg is incubated, and you've got that in your glossary at the bottom, and incubated means to sit on eggs to keep them warm until they're ready to hatch. Okay. So if an egg is incubated to the hatching stage, so if the parents, for whatever reason, don't leave the eggs in the nest on their own, having avoided being eaten, chilled, or damaged, so any of those things could happen to an egg. So another bird or something could happen, could be strong winds or, all sorts of things that happen and the egg gets damaged. The chick's first task is to break free of the shell. So if it survives to this stage, the hatching stage, it's got to break out of the shell. Inside the egg, the young bird develops an egg tooth, it says, a hard tip to the upper part of its beak, which helps it emerge, a little bit like a little hammer, a little chisel that chips away. But despite that, hatching is physically exhausting. So it might have this little tool, but it's really tiring. And some birds get so exhausted that they don't survive the hatching stage. So birds have evolved different strategies. So they've created, they've developed different strategies to maximize the survival of their offspring. So it's all about survival. Okay, you want your species to continue. So there's different ways that birds have come up with that help make sure that their offspring survive. So while songbirds emerge from their eggs in a blind, naked state, so songbirds, so things like your blackbirds and your thrushes, those kinds of birds, they come out of their eggs and they've got no feathers on them and they're blind, so they can't see. And are quite unable to do anything for themselves for several weeks. So they sort of have perhaps got the hardest job because they're totally reliant on their parents. Other species, primarily ducks, waders, and game birds, are ready to go from hatching. So those types of birds, they are, as soon as they've hatched, they could get going. Okay, they can escape danger, whereas your songbirds can't. So these ground-dwelling birds, so ground dwellings, those birds that live on the ground, they don't have nests in trees, they have nests somewhere in reeds or bushes or whatever, they're on the ground. And of course, they need to get going quickly because they are in harm's way, okay, because they're low to the ground. Lots of things that find them very tasty are on the lookout for their young. So these ground-dwelling birds need to be able to fend, so they need to be able to look after themselves. Okay, they need to be able to make sure that they can escape danger. They can protect themselves. Okay, so fend and feed for themselves. So their parents care for them, all hatch with a covering of down. And if you look in your glossary, you've got the little asterisks there, and down are small soft feathers. So it keeps them warm. So if for whatever reason their parents are delayed, they can't get back, they're going to keep warm for a little while and they're going to be able to look after themselves a little bit, which keeps them warm and camouflages them among the vegetation where they feed. So camouflaging, so they merge in, they sort of, you wouldn't be able to, you have to look really hard to find them. It's crucial, so it's really, really important. That was one of our spellings a few weeks ago. As newly hatched chicks are popular prey items for many predators, and time is of the essence. Okay, a little phrase there, time is of the essence. So it's something that you might have heard, somebody might have said that to you. Time is of the essence. Time is really important. Okay. So, and time is of the essence. Pheasant chicks are able to fly after only 12 days. So it's really important that these birds develop very quickly and are able to look after themselves so that they can get out of harm's way. All right. They're not going to be victims of predators. So I'm a fledgling, get me out of here. Okay, I'm sure that some of you know where that comes from. A little play on a popular TV show. that some of you may have seen. And fledgling, it's if you look at the glossary, it says a baby bird that's ready to leave its nest. So I'm a fledgling, get me out of here. Okay, it's ready to go, in other words. Leaving the nest is a hazardous time. So hazardous, you looked that word up as well and created two synonyms. Dangerous. So it's a really dangerous time for all young birds. So surviving to this part is hard. And then they've got another job because they've got to get out of the nest and then they've got to go into the wide world. Okay. So as well as learning to fly, birds must also learn how to feed and develop predator awareness. The price for not learning quickly enough is high. So, in other words, if they don't learn how to get out of the nest and how to be aware of predators, the kind of things, kind of positions, kind of where to hold the head, etc., what to be looking for, if they don't learn that, price is high. In other words, they're not going to survive. So, with another little subheading, baby birds in your garden. So it says it can be tempting to try and rescue a baby bird apparently in trouble. It's got a bit blurred, so let me try and do that. Okay, yeah. Here are some things to remember. So the adult birds are much more skilled at looking after their offsprings than humans will ever be. So in other words, please try not to try and rescue them. Their parents are much better. Okay. It's very likely that the bird's parents are nearby waiting for you to leave the area. So if you get out of the way, the parents will come to the rescue. And then try to avoid interference wherever possible. It's really best to leave baby birds alone. If the parents smell your scent on them, they might abandon that chick and it might have had a chance of survival if you hadn't touched it or tried to move it. Okay, so really important to remember that. Okay, so you have got some questions. So cute, fluffy, and hard as nails. So what does that tell you about baby birds then? Okay, we talked about it. You'll be able to write that. So fluffy feathers. Fluffy feathers. So is that onomatopoeia? Is it a metaphor? Is it personification? Or is it alliteration? Okay, so have a little think what each of those mean. If you're not sure, Google them. Give you some examples and you'll be able to find out what is fluffy feathers an example of. Fluffy feathers. So then why are songbirds very vulnerable when they first hatch? So you need to look back in the text. Where do you find that little bit about songbirds? Well, if I go back to the text and it says here that birds have evolved different strategies to maximize the survival of their offspring. And then it goes in to telling you about songbirds and other species. So have a look there. You want to look in this paragraph here, and you've got information that will help you. Okay, it's a 2-mark answer, so give some detail. Okay. So then what word could the author have used instead of hazardous? Well, you've looked up synonyms for that as a starter, so use one of those. Why is line 17 and 20 in bold? So 17 is, I'm a fledgling, get me out of here. So have a think. Okay, why is that? And baby birds in your garden, what are they? What's their purpose? Okay, so have a think. Why are they both in bold? What job do they do in the text? And then what is the price? Line 19 of baby birds not developing quickly enough. So we talked about that when we were having a look, okay, at the text. So the price, you might want to go back a little bit in the video and see what we said. And then we've got, why do you think the author chose to use bullet points in lines 23 to 25? So if you have a little look, okay, what's the purpose of those? What does it do to the text? Okay, so think about that. If you look at those and you look at this information, okay, There's a big difference. Why might that be key? Okay. And then finally, why do you think the RSPB published this article? And there's no right or wrong answer to this. You can say, what do you think the purpose is of it? Why do you think they published this article? What is its purpose? Okay. So you've got the text, you've got the question, so page 6 and 7 of your comprehension. Now, when you've done that, you have got a challenge to do. Okay, so I'm moving my board on. So what I want you to do is, once you've had a little look at the questions, your challenge is to list all the dangers baby birds face. So in your book, you'll list your dangers. Then what you're going to do is you're going to tell me which you think is the most dangerous and then why. And it's use the text to support your ideas. So you might think it's the biggest danger is badly built nests. Okay, I've just plucked something. And if you think it's badly built nests that is the most, the biggest danger to the baby birds, you'd say, I think it is the parent birds building, very badly, building nests very badly, or the structure of the nest being very badly built by parent birds, because it says in the text, this tells me, or this shows that. So I want that kind of phrase in there. I want that little bit of detail. So you have a little look. What are the dangers that the RSPB tell us for the little baby birds face? And then which do you think is the most dangerous? And you need to be using the text to convince me, okay, to support your answer. All right. Have fun with today's activity, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.